What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And this one wasn't even like planned that much, but recently there's been just so many Hollywood movies that have just been bombing this summer. And that's only just from June. June 2023 will forever go down as one of the worst months for Hollywood in 2023, at least financially. So many of their movies bombed. And why was that the case? And on top of that, can Hollywood save itself in the second half of the summer movie season? Well, let's just see. Here are a few reasons why some of these summer movies have just not been doing that well. And of course, when we're talking about bloated budgets, I'm talking about a lot of these movies being super expensive. You have Fast X, which cost $340 million. Tell me one thing in that movie that needed to be over $300 million for just the budget. That doesn't also include how much it needs to break even on top of the marketing. And you already know a lot of these movies have massive marketing campaigns. Another problem is also that marketing for these movies are just bad. So, I mean, even if they're spending a lot on marketing, it's not really being that helpful. I mean, look at the marketing for Elemental and Ruby Gilman Teenage Kraken. Both were horrendous. You almost would think that Disney and Universal purposely wanted those movies to fail on purpose. But speaking of Elemental, you had that movie cost $200 million for its budget. Why? Why on earth would a movie like Elemental need to be 200 million? You're already kind of pushing it with the Toy Story movies needing to be 200 million Pixar. But why Elemental? Why not do a lower budget for more of an original movie? Same thing with Luca and Turning Red. This has been a problem with Pixar in general, that they've been over budgeting a lot of these original movies that don't really need to be that big budgeted. Especially when you have more proven franchises like Spider-Man and Mario, which cost way less to make even more at the box office. But you most recently had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That costed $295 million. $295 million. What? Why? What? Like, for an Indiana Jones movie? Like, most of those movies were made back in the day, to be honest with you. I bet you nowadays they would still use CGI or whatever, but I don't think any of them would be over $295 million for a budget. I mean, come on, those movies. Like, I mean, I understand Harrison Ford, some actors cost a little much, but I mean, 295 is insane. I think it's also because of the de aging opening that they had for the movie, which I heard about, but I haven't seen the movie because I'm not interested in it, which we're gonna get into has another problem, and obviously, a big corporate, The Flash, which is a $220 million budgeted movie. And it's like, I mean, that's normal for a comic book movie, I guess. But where did the $220 million go? It definitely did not go in the budget for this movie because the CGI was horrendous. So, yeah, and I feel like because these movies have big budgets and they debut way lower, they make their studios lose a lot more money. As you saw, Elemental is going to make Disney lose hundreds of millions. Universal is going to lose hundreds of millions on Fast X. Disney also is going to lose $100 million on Indiana Jones, most likely. And Warner Brothers is going to lose $200 million on the Flash movie. It's just, why are these movies so expensive? I think Hollywood in general, and also it's just been a trend that a lot of these movies are just longer. And I don't mind longer movies, but majority of these movies do not need to be that goddamn long, bro. Like, it's okay to make a shorter movie, not too short. You have to understand there was a happy medium. We had that happy medium in the late 2010s, like 2010, the 2010s. That was a great medium. Some movies were longer than others, sure. Some movies were shorter than others, sure. But they all fit the runtime for their respective movies. And although I would say most of the movies this year do fit their respective runtime, a lot of them I just feel are just needlessly long just cause. Like, I don't, like, this has just been a trend since I don't even know, since maybe Black Panther 2. Like, Avatar was pretty long, Guardians was long. I mean, you didn't feel it in Guardians, but it was still a pretty long movie. Spider-Verse is one of the longest animated movies. It's just like, it's such a weird trend as of late that a lot of these movies are just longer and that they're more bigger budgeted. But because they're bigger budgeted and now they debut lower, there's a more of a chance for these movies to lose hundreds of millions of dollars for their studios. And again, all of these are just examples of movies that have came out in a month, like in a month frame. A lot of these have just ended up losing their studios hundreds of millions, and their studios can't afford to lose that much money, especially when there's a writer strike going on and they are already losing millions from just not producing or making a lot of the content that they were supposed to make due to the writer strike or due to massive cuts that were happening at the time. But let's get to the second point of why a lot of these movies have been bombing. This slate is too overcrowded. If you've known a lot of the complaints that a lot of MCU fans or MCU haters have been saying, they've said that the MCU is too overcrowded. They're releasing too many movies and shows. And I think that's just been a problem with Hollywood in general, at least this summer. These are just movies that have released in the past 2 months. May wasn't that bad, to be honest. You really only had like three big blockbuster movies, which was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Fast X, and The Little Mermaid. Only one of those movies were actually successful in that month, which was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Fast X underperformed so badly. It was probably one of the most embarrassing underperformances that Universal probably has had in a very long time, especially for a franchise that was notorious for making billion-dollar movies. But, and I'm going to say this for three certain franchises, I think it's just that Fast and Furious has passed its prime. Like, I don't think it's the big franchise that it thinks it used to be. Like, Vin Diesel still thinks that Fast and Furious is at the height of popularity that it was back in 2015. And that's just not the case, obviously. Like, we're in 2023. People have kind of moved on. I mean, Fast and Furious has become the butt of jokes. You have the DCEU, which has also overstayed its welcome. I mean, the last few movies alone have been just failures, and now Flash just kind of joins that list of movies. And then also you have Disney live action remakes that have heavily overstayed their welcome. I mean, they were already being criticized a long time ago, but now Disney making these remakes don't even make any sense anymore because most of them don't make that much money. The Little Mermaid, if it maybe released 4 years ago, maybe in that 2019 sweet spot, kind of probably would have made $1 billion, to be honest with you, because it's The Little Mermaid. They're high on Disney nostalgia, but I think Disney just butchered that movie, and I'm not talking about because of the race. I don't think it was that big of a deal, but I do think obviously that was a factor to why some people didn't want to check it out because it felt like such a political movie. And a lot of these movies are supposed to be a little bit of breaks from reality, not actually increasing to the drought of reality that's been happening. Like, honestly, in these past 2 months, there have only been legit like 3 movies that have been successful at the box office that I could confidently said, all right, these did pretty solid at the box office. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, without a doubt, and even Transformers Rise of the Beast kind of did okay. There was lower expectations anyways, so the fact that it's doing all right is good enough of a win for Paramount. I mean, if the movie just makes its $475 million, that's really all it has to make. And I think Transformers could easily maybe make that up. I mean, we'll see how that goes. Then you have movies that were just doomed to fail from their studio. Like, obviously, you have Elemental, which was look, Elemental was slated to be a June release, but, Warner Brothers moved the Flash movie up. And sure, the Flash ended up not being that big of a threat, but, now people had another option at the movies than Elemental. But I think I kind of want to make a video in general about Disney, because I think Disney is just in a rough place. That Pixar right now is just not in the right place. Because let's be real, a Pixar movie, like let's just say just 4 years ago, maybe 5 to 4 years ago, would have done well at the box office. Like it would have undoubtedly done well. The DCEU, you could say, oh, if it was like 6 years ago. And that's the problem with a lot of these things, is that they were successful a few years ago, but they're just not successful now. They're just not hitting. Heck, even DreamWorks with Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, and mind you, they were hot off Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I mean, it was going to be tough for this movie to be the next DreamWorks movie to follow up Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I mean, those are big boots, pun intended, to fill, and I don't think Ruby Gillman was that movie. I mean, it's probably the better movie than the new Trolls movie that they were advertising, but let's just compare, because this is really how you could tell Universal just did not have faith in this movie. And that could be a whole other video, but I'm not really an animation page anymore. But like Universal always treats Illumination as their star child, and they kind of treat DreamWorks as like, the second kid they kind of don't want. It's kind of like the tag-along child. It's the same way Disney has been treating Pixar in recent years. And sure, they've had a big hit like Puss in Boots, but even Puss in Boots was kind of set out to die a little bit. It only blew up because it was a very good movie, and it's also part of the Shrek franchise. Ruby Gillman was not that well reviewed, and not a lot of people rushed out to go see it. It was also going up against Indiana Jones, another movie that it's so many movies that are coming out. There's so many big blockbuster movies coming out that it's kind of ridiculous to expect a lot of people. Again, these are not even all the movies that have just came out in the past 2 months. This is just a few movies that have came out in the past 2 months, and you already see like it's so many of them, and we have more in the summer movie season to go. We still have Mission Impossible, we still have Barbie, we still have Oppenheimer. Disney still thinks they're gonna get in there with Haunted Mansion. That's gonna flop for Disney. That's gonna be another bomb for Disney, to be honest. And it's really not great. I mean, as I said, like, we're gonna compare. Universal promoted Trolls Band Together, I think that's what it's called. Trolls 3, whatever. We're gonna call it Trolls 3. That movie comes out in November. They had a trailer for it in April. They announced that Ruby Gillman was gonna come out in June, back in April as well, I believe. Like, it was very close to the release date. They really only had 3 months to promote that movie, which was kind of stupid on their part. You also have Disney and their marketing team. And I've already mentioned marketing, but you really have to understand that Disney's marketing team has just been horrendous recently. From the over-marketing of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania to kind of the under-marketing of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, shockingly enough, trying to promote it as this super happy, fun-time Guardians movie when it's not that, like, at all. And then also, I think they messed up on the Little Mermaid marketing. They shockingly didn't even lean that much into the nostalgia. Like, I don't know, Disney did it. They were on fire with the marketing for Little Mermaid. Elemental's marketing was complete dog shit. It was awful. It was one of the worst marketing campaigns I've seen. And look, Pixar movies are hard for Disney to market. We kind of notice it when it comes to at least their original movies. Like, Disney, they don't do the best with the marketing. But, I mean, come on. This had to be one of the worst ones. And it's the easiest Pixar original that they could have sold us on in a while. Like, I get it, Turning Red has a concept, is hard to sell, Soul and a few others are just hard to sell, but Elemental is one of the easiest ones, and they even messed up marketing on that. Haunted Mansion, I don't think anybody even cares. I don't even think anybody knows that's coming out. So I think the marketing team over at Disney needs to get fired, because, like, it's just bad. Like, they've marketed all the movies that they've released so far terribly. Like, Guardians 3 really just got lucky because the reviews and that. So yeah, this is part 2. Got cut abruptly, and I didn't want to redo it because I felt like I wouldn't repeat a lot of these good points at the same. But anyways, as I was saying, you look at the other studios, and the only other studio that has truly really got like they were good was Sony. I think Sony kind of did pretty good with Spider Verse. And honestly, Spider Verse is the only like, oh my god, like that and Guardians. I've been the only ones where I'm like, oh my god, yeah, those are definitive hits. Two out of how many movies that have came out in the past 2 months? In terms of big blockbusters, because some smaller movies have done okay. I mean, even the smaller movies aren't doing that great, to be honest. Like, it's a pretty rough time in Hollywood. But let's wrap up why I think Hollywood is just having a lot of bombs. And finally, it is misunderstanding your audience. And what I mean is, what do you think is gonna sell? And look, this is not to offend the older audiences, but it's clear for most blockbuster movies, the younger demographic kind of carries it. The older audience do come into clutch though, so this isn't to neglect them. But Indiana Jones and Michael Keaton Batman have not been relevant on the big screen for 40 years at this point. So why do movies on these characters? I mean, fans didn't even like the fourth Indiana Jones movie. So why do another one? I mean, yeah, you want to give him a proper ending. Well, guess what? He already had a perfect ending in the third one. There's no need for a fifth one. Like, not at all. I think fans would have been satisfied. Heck, they were satisfied with just having the trilogy and then that one bad movie. But now you have Indy 5, and this is to say Indy 5 is garbage. Again, I haven't seen it, but it just feels like an unnecessary sequel that is trying to pull out the nostalgia of Indiana Jones, but like there is no nostalgia with the main audience you're trying to attract for these type of movies. Like, listen, like if Indiana Jones was like so low, let's say if it was like an $80 million budgeted movie, and I know that's like drastic, but hear me out. If this was an $80 million lower budgeted Indiana Jones movie about an older Indiana Jones targeting an older audience, I think this would have been okay. I think I would have been like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. But you made a $295 million budgeted movie for an older audience, an audience that does not even go to the movie theaters that much anymore and wait for most movies on digital. Like, that's just one of the dumbest decisions I think I've seen Disney do in a very long time. It's the same thing with Michael Keaton Batman. That same audience that you're trying to pull the nostalgia strings on are not the audience that goes out to see comic book movies opening weekend. Now, some of them do, but not all of them, and that's the nostalgia you're trying to pull on, and it's not working. It's not working. And I feel like Hollywood, I mean, it's harder for animation because with animation, you're like, okay, Elemental came out at the wrong time. So I'm not gonna say that it's at fault, but Pixar, come on. If the rest of the animation industry could catch on to what's gonna be the new not Swift, that's not even a word, but the new shift in the animation game, why not take that risk? Same with Disney animation. I mean, well, they're trying to do that with Wish, but it's probably the worst attempt of trying to replicate the Spider-Verse animation style. Not animation style, but yeah, just the type of animation Spider-Verse was going for. I've seen in a movie. And it's just that a lot of these movies are just not movies that appeal to audiences anymore. Same thing with Fast and Furious. It's just that doesn't appeal to audiences anymore. Those are not big movies. I think Hollywood overall needs a massive shift, and I think summer of 2023 will be a huge wake-up call to continue the movies and franchises, unless they ended in the case of Guardians, but to continue the franchises that have shown interest in audiences, that audiences are willing to see more of, but also just know when to stop. I mean, this is the same problem with John Wick Chapter 5 that Lionsgate wants to do. Just learn how to stop, because audiences, if they know it's a cheap cash grab at that point, they're not going to turn up to see it. So, as a message to Hollywood, A, actually learn to leave things alone, in the case of John Wick and Indiana Jones, and B, learn your actual target audience, because whew, a lot of these movies, man, I was just like, wow, this just was a massive miscalculation on how you thought general audiences are going to react to a lot of these movies. But anyways, in conclusion, what do you guys think about why a lot of these movies have been just failing miserably at the box office? Do you think this is just an overall problem that Hollywood is gonna have for maybe the rest of the year? Do you think these problems were just bound to happen? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.